Right, so today we're going to be talking about a very frustrating situation where a TikToker has been fucked over consistently for about 4 months now by multi-billion-dollar companies. And the TikToker in question, as we can see here, is mrshappilyeverafter, a TikToker with 131,000 followers. Now, when looking at her page, it seems like she is a healing coach and she gives advice to people on videos, but this situation specifically has nothing to do with that. Because Brooke has consistently been uploading videos giving updates to a situation where she unknowingly was driving a stolen car due to CarMax, which I believe is like a car buying and selling company over in America, where they didn't do their due diligence and ended up putting Brooke in a situation where she was driving a stolen car without knowing. And like I said, this situation's been going on for a while. It actually started in December. Brooke uploaded her first video talk about this on the 12th of February of this year, and it's still going on to this day. So today I'm going to give a full timeline to the situation. It's incredibly fucked up. I feel really bad for Brooke, actually. She's in a really bad position here, and it seems like there's nothing she can really do. But yeah, either way, let's go back to February when this situation started, and in fact, before we do that, trying to hit 500,000 subscribers on this channel, so if you do want to help out and you haven't already subscribed, please do. That'd be lovely. So in this first video, Brooke explains that she found out that she had mold in her system, and she obviously needed to pay for medical bills, so she ended up taking out a loan to pay for that.
Those of you that follow our lives know that last year, Moldgate happened. We found toxic mold in my system, we weren't allowed to start trying for babies, we had to move off of the boat, got it completely, and took out a sizable loan in order to get rid of the mold because it wasn't covered by insurance.
And then she explains to try and get the payments down, she ends up selling her current car, buys a new car almost in cash but still owes her mother $6,000, and then she's going to take the monthly payments for her old car and put it towards the medical bills. And she says that she did the complete checks that you would do when buying a car and everything came back clean.
So, July rolls around. Jonathan finds me a car. I do a Carfax report on it just to make sure, because, you know, private party. Clean. Not stolen. I have CHP, California Highway Patrol, do a VIN check. Clean. Great.
And we will get into the reasons as to why the checks came back clean, even though we now know that the car was technically stolen, and it's due to CarMax and not doing their job correctly. Now, something I think is worth saying throughout this situation, because Brooke has been fucked over massively by these two companies, one more than the other in my opinion, which is actually State Farm, an insurance company, who by the way are apparently, according to Google, worth $134 billion. And also whilst we're on the topic, apparently CarMax is worth $13.51 billion themselves. But either way, she carries on and explains that she's had the car for 5 months at this point, and then suddenly 4 detectives show up at her door, and they're going to take the car.
4 detectives showed up to our boat to inform me that I was driving a stolen vehicle, and they took it away.
And the reason for that is because that vehicle was purchased from CarMax with a stolen identity, and then that person ended up selling the vehicle to Brooke. Or at least that's what I'm assuming here. Of course, the person who bought the stolen identity might have sold it, like, before that, and then they've sold it to Brooke. But basically, this vehicle was purchased from CarMax with a stolen identity, which I assume means they put a down payment on the car, but then obviously CarMax couldn't get in touch to get any of the further payments from them because it's a stolen identity. Now, of course, like anyone would in this situation, Brooke ends up going to an insurance company to try and sort this out, and after 2 months of telling her that, oh, it'll all be fine, we'll sort it out, they just said they can't due to a technicality.
So, I file a theft by deception case claim with my insurance company, State Farm, and you know what? Like a good neighbor, State Farm was not there because they denied my claim on a technicality after stringing me along for 2 months.
And she later goes on to explain that the technicality is that the vehicle loss was due to government apprehension, even though it actually had nothing to do with her and she did everything correctly. When she bought the car, she did all the checks. But because this car was technically stolen at one point due to a stolen identity, even though it wasn't Brooke who did it, she's now the one who's going to get fucked over for it. She then ended up getting in touch with a lawyer who said that she did have a case originally. They then got in contact with her 2 weeks later and said, actually, we don't have a case. And you've got to remember throughout this, the reason why this was even possible is because CarMax, first of all, didn't do their due diligence and didn't do the correct checks and sold the car to someone with a stolen identity, but also they didn't report the car until months later when a new person had the car, Brooke. So that's why the checks came back clean, because CarMax hadn't reported it yet. And now she ends this first part by saying that she has no vehicle, no money for the vehicle, which by the way, she is out 30 grand at this point. And of course, she still owes her mother the 6 grand, so she's in a really bad situation here. She also does say that to help out with this, she's going to sell like little bits of merch to try and get some money back. I'll leave her link in the description to her TikTok page if you do want to help out in any way. But this is where we get to the second video, which was posted 3 days after the original video, where she starts off by saying that CarMax have been contacting her, trying to get more details about the situation.
I received a second call from the same person at the executive level at CarMax asking a bunch more questions about my situation. wanting photos and proof and all the average things that you would expect.
But then CarMax go on to say that they're not going to do anything about this. The only thing that they will do is get in touch with State Farm, her insurance company, and try and work with them.
They first want to get into contact with State Farm and see if the two of them can come to some kind of an agreement and see if they can't get State Farm to cover my claim.
And a big theme throughout this video, I'm probably not going to cover every single time it happens because it happens over and over again, but she tries to get in contact with State Farm so many times and they just keep pushing her to the side and saying, look, we're not going to deal with this. Again, a multi-billion-dollar company that won't help one of their customers, who by the way says that she's been with them for 20 years, so she's paid more to them in insurance like throughout the years than they would even have to help her out with in this situation. On top of that, she says that her parents have also been with State Farm for 40 years, so they've been supporting State Farm for so long. She says she's only had one claim in that time. She had an accident where she had a claim, but other than that, completely clean. State Farm haven't had to do anything, and now she's been put in this situation, they won't help her. So the videos carry on a bit with like giving like little updates here and there, saying that she's going to try and get in contact with State Farm, talk about her reasons, saying like the technicality that they're putting against me actually has nothing to do with me. And throughout this, Brooke is getting a crazy amount of support from people in the comment section, tagging State Farm and CarMax over and over again. All the videos on State Farm's TikTok account is all just about Brooke, but State Farm are just consistently deleting the comments. And it absolutely blows my mind because we're talking about an insurance company here. Like, regardless of the technicality, their job is supposed to be trying to help people through situations similar to this where they've had a loss due to like a car claim. And the reason why that technicality is in place, to the best of my knowledge at least, is, for example, say someone was like dealing drugs, you know, dealing a bunch of drugs and using the car to transport drugs, and then like the police took the car for that reason. Obviously, State Farm aren't going to cover that because it's been used for like criminal activities. Whereas in this situation, even though there is a criminal activity involved with a stolen identity, it has absolutely nothing to do with Brooke, and in fact, it's CarMax's fault for not filing this earlier. Brooke also asked CarMax if she could even just get like a discount on like a future car, which I mean, is probably the least they can do because they have really put Brooke in this situation. I do think that this situation should mainly be put on State Farm at this point. They should be the ones doing something at this point because it's their job at the end of the day. But also, CarMax is definitely at fault because they put Brooke in this situation. They didn't do the correct checks. And regardless of the correct checks, they didn't file it for months later until it had a new owner. But yeah, Brooke did get in contact with CarMax, asked for any form of discount at this point. They said no.
I asked if they'd be willing to offer me any kind of discount for a future purchase of CarMax. No.
So they are just completely uninterested at this point. They don't want to help out in the single slightest. In part 6, she says the situation is still ongoing. She's getting no help, but she is on her way to look at a used car because she's got about $1,200 from people helping out from TikTok.
I'm actually on my way to go look at a used car right now. That for now, I'm buying myself, and with the help of you guys, with about $800 to my Venmo and like $400 in sales with stickers.
Which of course is nowhere near the amount that she actually lost, but it is great to see that people were helping throughout the situation. But suddenly in part 7, it seemed like there was maybe going to be a bit of a light at the end of the tunnel because State Farm were getting bombarded with messages, right? They were really being put under pressure, so they reopened the case. But then it seems like all the hope was short-lived because they started being difficult and very unhelpful yet again.
Since my claim has been reopened, I have been kind of put through the ringer. Get a call. They ask me more questions. They say, you're going to have a decision by Wednesday. Wednesday comes along, I call back and they go, oh, I didn't even realize your case was reopened. Every person I talk to seems to feel like they don't have the information they need. They then go back and look at the notes and they go, oh, it's because someone 3 people down the line hasn't responded to an email. Call back in a couple days. You should have an answer by then. And then I don't.
Yeah, look, I'm not familiar with insurance companies over in America for obvious reasons, because I'm not from America, but these lots seem like they have no idea what they're doing. I mean, either that or they're just being difficult on purpose and hoping that Brooke would maybe just drop it. I don't know what they're trying at this point. I have seen in the comments of these videos that a lot of people have also been talking about their experience with State Farm, saying it's not exactly the best insurance company in the world. Again, I don't know. I have no experience with State Farm myself. I'm just saying what I see in the comments. Now at this point, because obviously the case is now being reopened, Brooke is trying to get in contact with State Farm. And when she called, it's just saying they're busy. Straight away, not ring and just cut it off. So she thinks that's weird for obvious reasons and that's never happened before. So she then gets someone else to call up and it actually goes through and they can speak to people. So when she was explaining this, I was like, what, have they blocked a number or something? Like, what's going on here? But she says that she ends up calling through a different method. She finally gets through to someone. She gives them her case number and then the person on the phone is like, Yeah, I can't actually say anything because apparently this is now a classified claim. So basically only certain higher-ups in the company are allowed to see anything to do with this claim, and she actually ended up getting a call later on to explain why this is.
So I get a call later in the afternoon from a woman who then confirms that this has been moved up to the adjuster's manager's manager, I believe, and that it has now been put at a security clearance because of the TikTok virality. No adjusters are allowed to talk to me on the matter for fear that they're going to say something they're not supposed to say.
Which to me seems like they're overcomplicating everything when they could just, like, you know, help. Like, if you're really worried about the TikTok virality and, like, the comments and whatnot, maybe just help her out this situation that she really did nothing wrong in. In fact, it does seem like Brooke did, like, I was going to say one thing wrong, but she didn't really do anything wrong because how is she supposed to know? But what I've now heard from a TikToker called Delivered who does videos talking about like car advice and whatnot is that Brooke could have actually declined the police taking the cars in the first place, and then CarMax could have like potentially sued because of that, but she didn't have to give the car over.
If she just denied giving the car to the police would have demanded to see the title. If they showed the title and she could prove legally that the car was hers, which she can, guess what? This now becomes a civil matter. And CarMax could have sued Brooke for the car. CarMax could have done 1,000 things for the car. But instead, Brooke did what almost any one of us would have done. She worked with the police. Oh, shoot, somebody was frauded? Yeah, let me get you back the car, because she assumed she'd be taken care of. The people involved, the police, CarMax, everybody said this would be an insurance claim.
Yeah, that's a very important thing to note, right? When the detectives came to the door and she explained the situation, they were telling her, oh, the insurance will take care of it. CarMax saying the insurance will take care of it. Of course she's going to believe that the insurance are going to take care of it. But I guess in hindsight, it must be really shitty to know that she could have actually just denied giving the police the car in the first place. But this is where we get to the most recent update that was uploaded just 4 days ago, where Brooke is clearly very upset about the situation and says that she feels like she's just being bullied by these huge companies.
And I figured out why this whole situation is so frustrating to me is they're just big bullies. CarMax is a bully, State Farm is a bully.
And yeah, I mean, I'm not surprised that she feels like this. She is talking to massive companies that are worth billions of dollars. She is out 30 grand. Let's be honest here, 30 grand to these massive companies really isn't much in the slightest, but to Brooke, it's clearly a lot of money. To most people in the world, to me, to you probably watching this video, it would be a ridiculous amount of money to lose. She then goes on to voice her frustrations further in this video.
You sold a car to someone with a stolen identity. You didn't catch it. Okay, shit. Then you didn't report it for 4 months, and that's how I ended up with a car with a clean title. I'm a little person. I'm a little guy. I'm not a big corporation. I don't have $30,000 just around to buy another car.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, this situation is so shit. I wouldn't wish this upon anybody. Like, I can't imagine the stress that she's been through for months at this point. She then goes on to say that the only thing that she can really do at this point is to hire an attorney, but she can't afford one.
And I hate that the answer now is to hire an attorney that I can't afford. Or to just suck it up and eat it.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I'll leave her link in the description if you want to try and, like, help out. But yeah, she's going through a really shit situation right now. And again, like, this is such bad publicity for, like, CarMax and more specifically State Farm. You would think that they would just fix the situation, but clearly they don't care. I mean, they clearly do care about the backlash. We've just heard that by the fact that only certain people are allowed to speak to her about the situation, but they don't care enough to help. And when I go over to the State Farm TikTok page, there are no comments anymore talking about this situation, even though it was completely bombarded by people. I mean, when you look at Brooke's videos, every comment is trying to tag State Farm and voicing their opinions against State Farm, but if you go to State Farm's TikTok page, there are no comments. This is obviously because they're just going out their way to delete them instead of actually helping out a customer that's been with them for so long. She then ends this video by saying, look, I can't borrow cars forever. Like, what can we do here?
My name is Brooke. I live in San Diego, and I'm out $30,000 in a car. I can't borrow cars forever. So, what do I do now? What do I do now?
Yeah, I mean, I wish there was a happier ending to this video, but it's been going on for so long, since December. The video's been getting posted since February, and we still have no real answer. Or maybe the answer is just that nothing's going to happen. She's not going to be able to do anything here, and she's just going to have to bite the bullet, and she just lost 30 grand for something that she had no fault in. But yeah, I would love to know people's opinions in the comment section down below. Maybe there's someone watching this video who works in this industry, maybe works for an insurance company that can give us a bit of insight into how this works, if there's anything that can actually happen here, or is she actually just completely screwed for something, again, that it's CarMax's fault, really. And yeah, if you're new here, please subscribe, leave a like on the video, and until the next one, I'll see you guys in a bit. Alright, goodbye.